What is up, party people? Welcome back to Tomboy Official. Today I kind of wanted to talk about, I'm going to freestyle this a little bit. Let's talk about the dating world as we know it in late 2023. But I guess maybe a little update first because it's been a while. But I don't know if I really have any updates. Got a meeting with a recruiter today in about 3 hours. I don't think I have anything to really prepare for because the recruiting company is expecting to try to connect me with a company that would be a good fit. So I'm not necessarily interviewing for a company directly. I already talked to them Friday, and then the soonest appointment would have been today, 11 o'clock for Monday. I don't think they're considering the holiday. It's going to be me and the recruiter I talked to and one of their higher ups, and I don't know what to expect. To be honest, I don't really want that role. It's a mental health job role. But, I told myself I'm taking the interviews that come my way. So, you never know. I could get my foot in the door and possibly be able to adjust later. I don't really want to. This isn't even a remote site, but they do have connections in San Diego as well. So I'm like, I'll hear them out, And I've got an interview on Thursday coming up this week, later on, with a tech company. So I'm preparing for that one more. This one, I don't really know too much how to prepare because I don't know who they're going to connect me to. I asked them if they could try to find something within a 10-mile radius because living in LA, a lot of times sites try to send you all over the place. And I'm like, look, first of all, I don't even want to drive all the way, downtown or to the valley or, it's just hard for me. Like, honestly, I'm so over LA traffic. I hate it so much. It's the biggest deal breaker for me between San Diego and LA. Like, just thinking about trying to spend 90 minutes one way just to get to work and then 90 minutes home. It's like, come on, man. Like, wasting the day away. And they don't even want to pay good. We talked about pay rates on Friday. I saw that they had listed that their pay rates were, I can't remember the low end. I want to say, let's say it was 24 and then high end 33. And I was like, 33, is kind of my average. And I'm being honest. And then they told me likely for the position, 24 to 27 would be more average. And they said for case management, that's average. And then therapists get a little more. And, I didn't really, dispute anything at that point. I'll leave that for today if it comes up again. I know my worth. They're not going to find that many people who have that much experience. Maybe they will, but they're looking. There are a lot of sites that are looking, and I have more experience than many, many people will have had. So 7+ years is a lot of experience. And so, and I talked to them. I was being honest. I was like, you got to think about Southern California, a livable wage, and I think I mentioned before, maybe I didn't mention it on here, one of my friends, their mental health site is starting to pay them $10 less an hour. That's $80 less a day. It's like, how are you going to pay people that much less every day? I mean, I feel like they should just cut the hours. They should just say you're working 32 hours, a week. I don't know, that wouldn't make any sense, actually. Maybe it would, actually. No, I don't think it would even out. That wouldn't even out. That's $10. Wait. No, it's not $10 less a day. It's $10 less an hour. So, yeah, it's $80 less a day. Because it's an 8-hour shift. So, yeah. That's not the same thing, actually. That's not what I was thinking. I was kind of doing the math wrong in my head. But yeah, I mean, that's not incentivizing. They're going to lose a lot of staff. People are already running out the door. But I mean, okay, so I'll mention it this way. If they do bring it up, I'm going to push back. The site that I was working at in Chula Vista offered me somewhere between 32 to 36 an hour. I don't remember the exact. I think it was 34 and 36, depending with which role. And so I can tell them, there are sites that are paying more money. And it seems like the LA sites, honestly, aren't paying as much as San Diego. That might be what it is, because it seems like a lot of the LA sites are stuck in that mid 24 range, and I've seen a lot of San Diego sites, crossing that $30 range, and then in the $28 range or so, or 25, 24, 23, like around the mid-20s range. That's where I'm seeing like some of the lower rates, versus out in LA it seems like average is the mid-20s. I've seen sites that even pay 18 an hour, and I'm like, come on, man. If you have a master's degree and you're working at a job that's that high stress and that high demand, where you're going to just be swamped all day with people's mental health issues and tons of county paperwork and endless amounts of just issues and disorganization, and you're usually trying to learn this internal messed up system, because places are so unorganized because they're just so swamped and so much management turnover that it's hard to really get a finger on how to even get the job done. You kind of just run around like a chicken with your head cut off, literally, and get your work done. But I don't know. It's going to be something like that I have a feeling in the back of my head that I'm like, if they're not going to meet me pay rate wise, I'm not going to accept. Like, I'm not going to take a pay rate that's less than what I was making. And the reason why, I've justified this before. The reason why is because I can make more driving Uber Eats. Uber Eats will pay, on average, about 25-ish an hour. And that's about, give or take, what I was getting before. Now, I don't drive Uber Eats for 8 hours a day, mainly because I'm working on other projects. I'm getting my own customers. I'm, some of it's passion projects. I'm learning different, software platforms, and I'm applying for jobs and, just learning kind of like the ins and outs of, what I would be doing at, the tech jobs, and trying to practice that on my own. And so that takes a lot of time out of my day, as well as trying to get to the gym or get in my workouts from home. And I'm online a lot, but I try to really power through early in the morning until, lunch. I have a lunch time that is kind of late. Not really late, probably around 1 or so is usually the best time for me for lunch, because usually after that I get like an energy crash. But most days, not today because I've got this meeting at 11, but most days I do start earlier. At like 5:30 is kind of my ideal time to start getting things rolling. And so I don't mind doing like 5:30 to 1:30. That's fine to me, or even 5:30 till noon. Um, and then, usually I'll take a really long midday break, and then sometime after dinner, I like having dinner early around 4 or 5, and then sometime after dinner, get back into things till maybe like 8 o'clock or so, and then put things down. Maybe even at 9 I'll put things down. But I kind of have like 2 shifts that I get things done in, like early and then later, and then the middle of the day I try to do all the other stuff that I'm trying to do, like the learning and the exercising and all other kind of stuff, and practicing. So that's why I'm not doing 8 hours a day with Uber Eats, because I got to do all this other stuff too. And right now it's not really a priority for me to be making money all the time daily like that, if that makes sense. Like, I've still got savings, and I basically just do deliveries to pay for what I need to pay for that's immediate. Like, for example, my friends have a wedding this weekend, and so I'll see how much the clothing or whatever it is, or gift or whatever I need to buy, I'll see how much that is, and then I'll do deliveries to cover the cost. So that's basically how I do it. Or if I'm just trying to make a certain amount in a week, I'll do it that way. But I don't just drive 8 hours a day, because it's a lot of time out of my day. And I need to be doing this other stuff more than I need to be, making that money from there. But just because I know I can make it from there, I don't think I want to take a 40-hour work week from a site that's going to pay me like $24, $25 an hour, to be honest. I mean, there would be benefits involved, but then that would be 8 hours out of my day that I'm not learning, and I don't want to work in mental health necessarily. I mean, I know I'm not going to keep the job because I don't want to stay working in the job. So I'd rather work elsewhere. I honestly don't think it's a good idea for my health to work in the mental health field. There's a part of me that's just not, I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm like, I don't think it would be a good idea, stress-wise. But I don't know. I just don't think it's a good idea. Because I would want to quit, like, I'm already talking about, if I get it, when will I quit, and it's not remote, so it's based in LA, and I'm not trying to live out here forever, so, it doesn't really make much sense, because I technically have a form of making money, is what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to get more customers too, and that would be more money, and getting customers doing things that I actually want to do, versus, it's not that I hate mental health. I get a lot out of it. I like working in the field. I like problem solving with people and collaborating with clients about their, situations that they've got going on, and, trying to be there for them, and, create just like a good experience, because it can be hard in any kind of healthcare for people to kind of like enjoy themselves. I've always had a good reputation and everything. I just don't really see myself, following through with something like that. It's just, even when I think about it right now, I'm like, man, this isn't really where I want to go with this. But we'll see. I mean, interviewing is important. It's important to kind of make those connections, but I don't really know. And the pay rate's low. I just can't imagine myself waking up to go to work. I told them, if they have like 7:30 shifts, I would prefer that. 7:30 a.m. shifts. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it. It's not ideal for me. I think it's not a good fit for me. That's my opinion. That's what my mind and body tell me, is that it is not a good idea for me to get back into that field. I don't really see myself getting up, going to a job like that, working with clients all day, coming home, feeling like I can still work on my own things and have the energy that I need to invest in my own self like I've been doing all year. I just don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't see that potential. Like, even just thinking about it and having to learn, the rules of the site, and getting to know new staff and all that, and like, it's just, even when I just think of it, I'm like, man, it's a beast. It's a beast of a role to take on, and it's gonna drain my energy away from what I'm transitioning to already. So I'll sit on it, but I don't think it's a good idea. I don't. But anyways, jumping into the dating topic, I want to say I have noticed a lot of people saying the same complaints about dating. I don't think I have any answers, honestly, but we all know about ghosting, but it's definitely out of control. It's like, there's a part of me that knows, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you, nobody owes you anything at all. Nobody owes you. Nobody owes you responses. They don't owe you anything, Nobody's obligated to, follow through with you if they don't feel it. But I do think it's mature, it's mature, to, tell someone, that you're not interested when you know that you're not interested. It's almost like, it's not really like, okay, for people who ghost people, and I understand, like, there are many reasons, right? If somebody was like a jerk to you when you met them, of course, like, why would you go out of your way to talk back to that person again? Like, why would you like try to like give them any form of closure or do them any kind of favor on any end? Like, ghosting someone is kind of like, to me, it seems like something you do when someone deserves to be ghosted. Like, they did something and this is the consequence. You no longer respond because of that. That's how I take it. That's kind of my opinion about ghosting. I feel like most people don't use it that way, though. The people who ghost people usually use it like, I'm moving on and just not going to talk to this person. And it usually isn't because they did something wrong or overstepped, and I just don't want to give a second chance or third chance or however many, or any next chance, even if it was just like a first date or a first like conversation or like 2 or 3 sentences online. I just don't want to engage anymore. And so there is that fine line. There's a fine line between ghosting, and I think just kind of like a social maturity kind of responsibility to, just best practices in meeting new people and in dating. I mean, think about it. Most of us have applied to jobs, right? And what's most people's biggest complaints? You don't hear back, right? You don't hear back a freaking thing. You spend your time and your energy, trying to put yourself out there at these jobs, to try to make it work. And, you put your best foot forward. And what do? Nothing. Or they respond like months later when you're like, I don't even remember applying to this. But they do nothing. You get in contact with them. They don't do anything. You get in contact with them and you do nothing, right? Like, they do nothing. I mean, like, they put their application out there. They say they need people, and they can't even send you even an automated message of, like, other than the ones that send you the message, hey, we got your application, we'll be back in touch with results shortly or whatever. But then a lot of times you just never hear back, right? Now, is that okay? Like, do people think that that's okay, that companies should just keep that practice? Because it's a form of ghosting, even though it's not the same exact thing. But it's like, well, why aren't you going to tell people the status of, their application? What? They don't do it because it's time consuming and energy consuming on their end. It's selfish, right? I would say it's selfish because they can do it. They just don't because they don't have to and they don't want to, because who wants to go out and send all these messages to the people who didn't get in? Nobody wants to take time out of their work schedule to do that. But if you have time to review applications and try to get people to apply, I think personally you should respond at least once in a timely fashion once you've hired someone, at least, and tell people that they didn't get the job. Now, if no one's ever been hired, that's one thing. Or if the role is just ongoing and they just like to keep like a batch of applications on file, like if yours is on file, they should tell you, but they usually don't want to tell you anything. So you're sitting there just like, all right, like maybe I'll hear back, maybe I won't. The thing that I don't like about job applications is like, they could be calling, like I get so many freaking spam calls in a day that it's like, I don't even answer my phone anymore. If the person isn't like listed as someone saved in my phone, then I'm not going to answer. So it's like, if they don't email me, and then if I don't know who's calling, nobody leaves a voicemail, I'm not answering my phone either. So, that doesn't really have to do with the overlap with like dating, with the parallel with dating, but I would say there is a responsibility, if somebody, is in that process. Most of us would say that, right? Most of us would say, yeah, this job should respond to us when we apply. At least that, they should at least give us that, right? Common courtesy, best practices. They don't have to. They should. They don't have to, but it would make them look better. And it, I think the reason why they don't invest that time and energy is because they're not getting any money out of it, It's a selfish move. But, when it comes to dating, I think meeting people, like if they don't do anything wrong, I don't see the big deal of telling somebody just simply, that you'd rather just be friends, or that you found an interest in a different person and you're going to go that direction. I mean, maybe people are afraid, the person's going to lash out, or they're going to like get, mean or hurt their feelings or whatever. And I mean, that's their, if they want to handle it that way and be a jerk, okay. But I mean, maybe people are trying to protect themselves against what happens after they reject someone. And nobody wants to reject people. Like, if you can avoid it, it's easy to avoid, right? I think even with jobs, nobody wants to fire anyone or let them go unless they really like did something wrong. But it's like, there are things like that where I think about it and I'm like, ghosting is out of hand in the dating world these days. It's just, it makes the experience not fun. And I think a lot of people who do it, maybe they don't even really fully think it through. But I don't know. I just think it's immature. People don't want to do what is kind of the right thing to do, the proper thing to do. They don't want to do it because it's difficult. They don't want to take that extra little sentence because it's difficult for them, And okay, like I said, nobody owes anybody anything, but at the same time, it's like, if you really met somebody that you liked, you spent time with them, made it seem like you had some kind of interest where you would want to move forward with them, wanted to seriously take it to a different level, you expressed that even, or if you expressed that you wanted to meet again, or, if you did actually have a good time, why would you not later on explain to that person, maybe I found somebody else, or maybe I just don't want to date at this time like I thought I did. Like, you don't even have to give an explanation of why. Just saying, like, I think, it was nice meeting, and, I'm not really too interested in continuing, even if it's no fault of the other person, just kind of like, I'm looking for something different, or whatever it is that you have to say, you don't even have to explain. You could just say, it was nice meeting, and, in all honesty, I'm probably not gonna try to make plans or keep in touch, I mean, it might sound rude, but it's like, it's something, you don't have to make an excuse. You don't have to explain yourself. But yeah. I would say it's not maybe the best way to handle it. Yeah, people don't usually, I mean, I get it, I do get it. It's not an easy conversation to have, but it's one of those things. I feel like if you're, adult enough to date people, you should be adult enough to have, some responsibility for other people's time and energy. That's just kind of how I see it, and most people would just avoid that. But again, it's not required. It's just best practices, right? So I would say anything, just in my opinion, anything that wasn't a some negative experience, why to ghost a person, I don't think it's necessary or appropriate to really ghost people if they've done nothing wrong. Outside of ghosting, I would say Um, I mean, just a general online world is a little strange. I think there's always this like weird thing, right? Like, I don't know if I can explain this easily. First, there's a this kind of situation where, you know, there's a there's kind of like a weird kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, there's like a weird combination of things of you know, trying to talk to people online. That's how a lot of people do it, is the online method. Just try to talk to somebody online. And in the process of trying to speak to someone, trying to take that and like, chat features are hard. Some people aren't good at typing. Some people aren't good at like comprehending what they're reading. So that's already going to be a barrier, I noticed. That's already a huge barrier. A lot of these apps don't offer like any kind of like FaceTime feature. I think they should. That would be cool. To have it built into the app so that if somebody wants to chat like audio or video, you can do it through the app versus having to give out your, I don't know if people even use Skype anymore, but like Skype or Zoom or I don't know, having to give out any other kind of information if you just want to stay like in the app, you know. I think that would be cool, because I've seen that they have like speed dating stuff, like I know the Her app has that, like speed dating on occasion. It's like a paid event and it's hosted by someone who does it so that they can do like a video chat. So I know that something like that exists where people can do a chat. But I don't really know. Like, I think, I don't know if it would help or not, but I do think it would give maybe more to go by than just the texting, because I don't know if that's the best way to first meet people, because it's hard to get a vibe for them. But then also by phone or by video chat, it's also hard to get a vibe from them. So I wouldn't necessarily say that, you know, that it would make things better or worse. I really don't know. And then, because like you wouldn't have to do it, like you could still do the texting, like you wouldn't have to opt in to use that feature if it existed, but I haven't really seen it existing. And I think it would just create, like, you'd need like a moderator or something. Like, I guess with the text chats, somebody could always go back into the system and be like, oh, this person broke the rules or that person said that. So maybe if they monitored the calls or something, but then that might be like a privacy breach if somebody hacks it or something. I don't really know. I mean, it would be a privacy breach if they hacked the texting too, so I don't really know. Like, it's just kind of a thought that it's like, I would kind of like that option. Like, with some people, I feel like it would have been a cool option to have like that feature. Like, before you meet up, to at least talk on the phone or something, but not have to give out your personal number or a Google number even, because it's like sometimes if you have a Google Voice number, you'll give it out, but you don't want everybody to have that number. So, you know, I don't really see that as fully, you know, something that can fully be helpful all the time. But I would say when it comes to when it comes to having like a I don't know, like a conversation with someone, I mean, it's really just hard to get to know somebody over initial conversations. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because, you know, a lot of people are nervous, so they're not acting like their normal self. So until somebody gets kind of more comfortable, it's going to be really hard to know kind of how that's going to go. I can give an example. I was talking to someone online way back that, you know, like through an online dating app, that I was like, you know, vibing with this person. They lived a little far. I was in like the central San Diego area. They were in like Vista. So it was a little far, but it wasn't so far that we couldn't meet each other. They seemed to have some situation going on where they were like either gonna leave, like just got there, but also might be gonna leave pretty soon, because it didn't sound like it was like fully working out for them. So I was already kind of like, okay, first of all, why is this person trying to like date people when they're not even sure if they're gonna stay in the city? But, you know, we talked and got along really well, and they kind of initiated, hey, let's talk, you know, on the phone, you know, a couple times. And, you know, like we scheduled to talk. I think we exchanged numbers, maybe. I don't remember, probably. And we talked. It was a good conversation. But I did remember, you know, there was a lot of back and forth at the beginning. Then I did remember, because I drank coffee like right before that phone call, because I was like, I don't want to have like no energy, because we were talking at night. It was like, it was dark. I don't know if it was like 8 p.m. or something like that. I don't know what time of year it was, but it might have been like somewhere between like 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. So, you know, we talked for probably like an hour or so. And, you know, I did notice at a certain point, once the caffeine kind of kicked in heavy for me, I was doing all the talking. And I was kind of like, oh no, you know, like I'm talking like a lot and just like talking about a lot of stuff. And they were kind of listening. But I was like, I don't know if they were interested in what I was saying, or just, you know, like, how do you just tell somebody, like, you know, you can't just be like, stop talking or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how long I was kind of talking like that, but it's like I was nervous, and so I didn't really catch that I was doing it until like, I mean, I wasn't like completely like monopolizing the conversation the whole time. I'd say the first 30 minutes it was like back and forth, but then after that, you know, I think we were talking about some kind of deeper topics, so I had a lot to say about it maybe, but I don't remember what we were discussing, in all honesty. Just kind of talking about ourselves and like getting to know each other a little bit by phone, and it was fun, you know, but neither one of us like really continued. We kind of talked a little bit after that, and then, I mean, I didn't know if they were staying or going, and so they weren't really at a place where they could meet exactly then. So we were doing the phone thing because they were still trying to like find work or try to find something. I don't remember what it was, but they were like, if they can't make it work in the city where they were at within a few weeks or something, they were going to have to leave. And so I was like, well, I don't want to meet them until I figure out if they're going to stay or not. And so I don't remember if they ended up leaving or if they took some kind of job where they got super busy. I can't remember like why we didn't continue talking, but it wasn't a bad experience. But it's just an example of like, you know, if you're nervous, you're not going to be your normal self. And so if somebody were just to hold me to that conversation and be like, oh man, like she was really chatty and that was annoying, They might not have known why I was chatty, or, if I was like, say, like being all sarcastic and weird and stuff and cracking like strange jokes or things like that, out of nerves, that might not normally be how I am. I might be a pretty serious person, but when I get nervous, maybe I make like stupid jokes. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's things like that I think about where I'm like, I don't think that first impressions are the best for dating. I think maybe once someone's comfortable, I don't know, everyone's different for how long that takes, but I'd say like maybe by the third time you meet or something, depending how much you're talking in between, and depending how long between you actually meet each other, like I think it takes a while to develop a little bit more comfort to like be your regular self without having to like try to, while you're feeling the other person out and trying to like, you know, determine like how you want to share things and what you want to share, and does this person seem like they understand what I'm talking about? Are they listening? Do I understand what they're saying? Do I feel like I kind of get them? Is our communication style going pretty smoothly with the two of us? Like, I don't really think you can get that out of like the first initial texting, or even the first time you meet, or even the first phone call. I think it takes a little bit more than that for most people to get comfortable, or for some people to get comfortable. So that, I think, seems to be the hardest problem with online dating, is because people usually won't give it past like the first time. Like if you're not easily vibing in the first few like conversations and meetings and stuff, then I think most people just don't give it another chance. And I'm not saying like, if somebody like cussed you out or was rude to you, or like showed up like 45 minutes late, or like did something that was like really outside of what you would prefer, or outside of something that you would, want to entertain over and over again, like if they're rude to the waiter and like making a scene for no good reason, unprovoked, and you're like, geez, I don't want to take another chance of going out somewhere with them and having them act like that again. Or if they show up late and your time is really, limited, and you're like, man, I don't want to go on another date with this person if they're going to be 45 minutes late again. Like, I was busy, like if you just don't want to put up with stuff like that again after the first time, if they kind of made one of those mistakes that you're like, I really don't want to find out if this is a pattern even, like I'm not even going to give it a chance, that's up to you, everyone has their own kind of way of doing things. But I would say that, in my opinion, it doesn't really make too much sense to go by just the initial impressions, because those are a little bit hard to say if they're really really the main ones, it's hard to really say if there's, if the person's going to change a little bit once they get more comfortable, or once you kind of realize, that you have a communication style that kind of works a little better, and you kind of like understand each other's communication styles and things a little bit better. I mean, you can talk about that, but it's like, I feel like some people aren't good at talking about it, or don't know how, or don't want to, or, there's certain things that it's just really hard to kind of get two separate people in a situation that works smoothly. I mean, and some relationships are more than two people, so it's like, I don't even know, like, how, you gotta be on the same page, at least with some stuff, and I think it takes a while to figure that out. So it does make it so that the online dating world is a little bit complex, I'd say, for that reason, because, you got to make things work, but it isn't easy to just, like, make things work when you've got, it's just not easy to make things work all the time.
man.